Dr. Ranganathan, as a citizen first, you're perhaps the only one who isn't part of the armed forces. You're an ordinary civilian. You watch these pictures. Why did this great Indian hero inspire each one of us today to either shed a quiet tear, say a quiet prayer, or then join this celebration of eternal greatness?
Yes, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. I must say at the outset that it is an honor to be amongst this panel, and I'm only too aware that I'm here as a civilian and a proud Indian, that I'm amongst heroes. So thank you so much for having me on this panel, Rahul. I make no bones about it. To me, I think I speak as a civilian, as an Indian, that in the passing away of General Bipin Rawat, I think India has lost a future president. I truly believe that. If Dr. Kalam was the people's president, here and the scenes that we witnessed today, this afternoon, make it amply obvious that General Bipin Rawat was the people's general, and he would have been a spectacular people's president. I mean, here is a man who, as I also tweeted in the afternoon, he was not a politician. He never fought an election. He never made any false or true promises. He never waived electricity, water, fixed potholes, roads, villages, gave tap water. But here are tens of thousands of ordinary citizens, and they lined up uninvited. They just came spontaneously. Why? And I've been spending hours since evening wondering this. What made him into such a man that ordinary lives would be touched by him when he'd never even met those people? I think that is spectacular, and as you so rightly put it, a constellation, as you said, a constellation of attributes. That not only was he an incredible professional, as my fellow panelists would vouch for, I think there was something more than what they say is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that is what touched us civilians. You know, of course, we were awed by his professionalism. And if I can, as a civilian, narrate one example of June 4th, 2015, when India was struck by a massive terror attack. 18 of our Jawans were killed by NSC-NK terrorists. Within 5 days, he was in charge. He planned and executed a surgical strike. And on the eve of the surgical strike, he got a call from the NSA, Mr. Dowal, saying, and I'm quoting General Bipin Rawat because he said this publicly at a public function, much to the ire of a lot of politicians, because he was a straight talker. He said, Mr. Dowal asked him, what is your plan? And he said, I was speechless because I had already put the plan underway. And that very evening, we neutralized 102 terrorists, and we suffered 0 casualty. That was the mark of the man that General Bipin Rawat was as a civilian. And today, when I see the outpouring, there comes a time when a military man, an army officer makes that transition. For many, that transition is not smooth. For many countries, for example, in Pakistan, that transition is never smooth. In other countries, that transition is spectacular. It is respected by people. General Eisenhower is one. I somehow believe that in General Bipin Rawat, that transition would have been incredible for our country. And that is why this loss is really personal for not only me, but hundreds of thousands of people, Rahul.
Yes, well put, Dr. Ranganathan. Let me bring in General Bakshi and General J.J. Singh and Maroof and Lieutenant General Ashwin. A couple of comments, and then we move on. Yes.
Yes, Rahul, and in fact, I'm very aware that the comment I'm going to make now would have been deemed inappropriate, but I'm only making it because, in fact, the late General Bipin Rawat, alluded to this comment. So, and I seek forgiveness from my esteemed panelists if they feel that I have infringed any boundaries. I speak as a civilian. 6 months ago, I think it was in April, at a book launch, a journalist, forgive me, I forget his name, he asked General Bipin Rawat, who is your second in command? And I only asked this, Rahul, and General Bipin Rawat for once was very diplomatic. He said, I leave it to the government. But today, when I see the newspapers and I read the news that the government says it'll take a week or two to decide the next chief of defense staff, the combined chief. I just feel that it somehow, this is something that General Bipin Rawat himself wouldn't have liked, because if, God forbid, something happens to the president, within an hour, the vice president takes over. If something, God forbid, happens to the prime minister, within an hour, a new prime minister is chosen. Now, the importance of the post is such that I think the government should have immediately decided we should have had a new CDS. And this is what I would like General Bakshi, minces no words, to seek his opinion on this, whether we should have had a new CDS by now.